Hello, I'm so excited to be doing our first live. Janet will be joining me here in just a minute. Hey Lalani, can you see me? I guess you would have to text, huh? Well, I just wanted to let you know I see you. I'm amazed you're here since it's probably nighttime for you. Hey Janet, I see you there. Do you see my request? Hi Lalani, good. I'm glad. I'm amazed you're awake, especially since you've been sick. Janet, if you can hear me, you have to make sure that your camera is allowed access to your camera and your microphone. That might be the problem. All right, guys, we're having a little bit of technical difficulty. I might have to call Janet on the phone. Hold on one sec. Okay, Janet says everything is locked up. Okay, Janet, I just requested that. Yeah,
Wait, I think I got it. I think I got it.
Okay, you're gonna have to specifically tell me what you did because I probably sent you 20 requests and nothing happened. So yay, this is great. Two older ladies figuring out technology together.
Well done. We made it. It's just now 4 o'clock.
Yeah,
So
great. Well, awesome. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for making
Of
time.
of course. I'm excited. This is my first time doing this. So,
Well, this is my first time doing this. So you want to tell us a little bit about you? First of all, I'll tell you how I know you. So Janet and I's husbands were stationed together at Randolph Air Force Base from 2011, no, 10 to 12, 2012.
well, we overlapped because I was 11 to 13
Okay.
and to 12. So
Okay.
we had the golden year in between.
Okay. Yes. So our husbands were in command in squadrons at the same time, but different squadrons, different missions. And so I got to go to events with Janet and see her smiling face. And when she saw I was doing this, she said, "How can I help you?" And I said, "You can come on Instagram Live with me." Are you still there, Janet? Oh, man, I think I lost her. This is a bummer, navigating new technology. Okay, can the rest of you guys out there still hear me? Man, technology. Okay,
I'm back.
you're back.
I'm not touching anything, I promise.
I don't know, maybe it's just not stable. So thank you guys for being patient as we navigate this new technology. So our husbands were in command side by side, and I got to go to all events with Janet, and she was always smiling and friendly. So that was great. And then, so Janet reached out and saw when I was doing these midwife advice videos, she said, "Oh, this is great. Let me know if I can help you." And I was like, "Well, yeah, you can help me. You can go on Instagram Live with me." And so she may have said, "Oh, wow, why did I speak up?" So Janet, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself, and then I got a couple questions for you.
Okay. I am a very long time seasoned military spouse. Almost 28 years ago, I married my husband, then Lieutenant Driggers, and we actually the very next day we hopped in a car, we drove across the country, and he started pilot training the very next week. So I've been with him from the very, very beginning of this crazy military life. I've, made a lot of, on the job training, I guess you could say, because way back then we didn't really have a lot of built-in spouse help. It was kind of sink or swim a little bit at the very beginning. And so, yeah, I still remember way back in the day attempting to make a medical appointment. We had just gotten there. I was trying to get a medical appointment. And when I called, the lady asked me for my last four. And I picked up the phone because I didn't have any idea what she was talking about. And my husband comes home and I was like, I can't even figure out how to make a doctor's appointment. And what's this last four thing people talk about? And he's like, well, actually, it's not even your last four, it's mine. Sorry, welcome to the military. So I've learned a lot since then, and really through different experiences we've gone through, we've gone through 15 moves. We're on move, this is our 14th move, sorry. And so I've learned a lot, and I've also been that struggling spouse that has cried to herself in the corner, and I've experienced tremendous help and grace from my peers from time to time that has affected me. And so it's really just kind of become my passion to help other military spouses the way I've been helped. And I've been very blessed that my husband has held different leadership positions that has put me in a very unique spot and situation to actually be able to help in certain ways that I might not have had elsewhere. So that's me. I consider myself a professional volunteer, and I just advocate for military spouses as much as I can.
Yeah, and you do a great job with it. And I appreciate you being vulnerable and mentioning, there were hard days. I'm sure people that know you now might not imagine that, right? But we've all had hard days. We've all been there. And that's partly why I'm doing this, is I am very passionate now that I have some wisdom about just, trying to come alongside military spouses and help make their journey a little bit better. Because now we have all these great tools and resources. And there's a lot. I mean, it really has changed in the last 27 and a half years. The military is doing a lot more to reach out to our spouses. But I know because of the advent of technology that people are on their screens a lot. And one of the things I want to do is encourage people to get off their screens. Obviously, I'm talking to you on a screen, so that might sound somewhat hypocritical, but I recognize this is where Gen Z is. So I want to try to reach them, but then encourage them to get off their screens and go cultivate community, because I actually think that loneliness is really partly driven by technology because we are hiding behind our screens. So I invited you on today, Janet, to just talk to us about what are some tools that you know of or ideas that you have or just ways that you figured out how to create real face-to-face interaction, things that you're aware of now that you would recommend to the other military wives that are out there.
Well, first of all, I really say about, the technology is so helpful, but it's also our biggest difference as well, because it is very easy to hide and shout things out on social media without, either doing the legwork yourself or reaching out to a human being face to face in developing that community. I know I have relied on community so much over the course of our time in the Air Force. And I know it's the same in all of our sister services as well, that how you move and you're nervous and you don't, you just friend. I think the biggest thing you can do is to reach out and utilize the resources that are already there. There are so many resources out there that go unused and wasted, and some even go away because they're not being used. But it's fabulous what's out there and what's available to our military spouses.
Okay, well, tell us about some of those.
All right. Well, I always tell you you should ever do when you go to a new unit, to a new organization, because every unit's different, right? You might have some gung-ho spouses and with their welcoming committee, and you have some where you're sitting in a building room by yourself for 2 weeks, never seeing a soul. So it's across the board what's out there.
Right.
Every single unit, every single organization, every single base that you are stationed has a military family readiness center if you're in the Air Force, fleet and family centers in the Navy, Army Community Services, ACS in the Army. There is some brick and mortar place for the most part that you can walk in and you can learn. They have classes that you can take. They have they have family advocacy organizations that can help a new mom that's struggling with their child, or parenting classes. And through these things, you can start to make connections with other families or spouses who are right in the same boat. I know the Military and Family Readiness Center with the Air Force, well, we're actually at a joint base right now. So I speak purple, right? I'm still learning some of the Navy's terms. Navy's a little bit different, but Army and Air Force have very similar things. And being at a joint base, it doesn't matter what service you're at. You can walk into that Military and Family Readiness Center and sign up for classes. In fact, next week, on Wednesday, this week, on Wednesday, we have a spouse orientation. It's historically called HeartLink. We have kind of rebranded it a little bit at Joint Base San Antonio, and we're calling it our HeartLink Presents Arrive and Thrive. And so that a spouse they can be in the Air Force or military for 5 years or 5 months or 10 years. It doesn't matter. You can have just PCS'd in, or still have, you've been here a while, and sign up for this spouse orientation, and they kind of walk you through the things. What do you need? Are you in need of childcare, or are you having trouble reading your LES, leave an early mistake? How does your pay scale work? What does rank even mean? Why do some people wear rank here and some people wear rank here? And what does it mean? And I don't get it. And so these kind of classes really take in spouses and give them the tools, give them the resources, just the knowledge that you don't know. Like way back in the day, I didn't know what last four meant. Now I do. But, you know, things like that.
Right.
So I really strongly suggest to any new spouse I ever come across is I'm like, have you been inside the ACS building? Have you been inside Military and Family Readiness Center? Because they can help, and they are there. You don't apply for a job at that place without a servant's heart to help people, because that's what the whole point of those organizations are.
Great. And I appreciate the way you mentioned the family advocacy, right? Because that's a great resource as well that doesn't get talked about as much. Mm-hmm. And I know when I went to, it was called HeartLink then. Mm-hmm. The first time I went, Brian had been in for 10 years. We'd been well, he'd been in longer than that, but we'd been married for 10 years. And I was like, wow, I learned stuff, and I sure do wish I had known this stuff earlier. Mm-hmm. So I always encouraged everybody to go. And I actually would go, even though I'd been a spouse for a long time, I would still go because it's a great opportunity to meet people. But also I would go there to encourage that brand new military spouse who's just moved for the first time. One time I met a girl that had just moved, just gotten married, and just gotten her driver's license, all in 3 months. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's great, Janet. You've provided some great information. Okay, and what are your like personal tips for cultivating community besides going to the community center and the family advocacy and Airman Family Readiness Center?
I would say just try to get involved in your unit. You know, there's it's going through some changes, but there's a key spouse program, and that is a spouse who is in your unit who can help with welcoming you, getting your feet wet, giving you information. Some units do not have a key spouse, but every single unit has a first sergeant. I can't talk. Also nicknamed first shirt.
Right.
Every single unit has one. They might call them something different in the Army and Navy or Coast Guard or what have you. But
well, I didn't understand that for a good long time of what that role was. Mm-hmm. But it is really critical. But would you explain it for the other people out there that might know what that is?
Yeah, the first sergeant is basically the mother hen. For lack of a better term, they are charged. These people are guardian angels. They have saved. I won't share it now because it's a bit of a longer story, but I have a really cute story of me realizing what a first shirt really did. But those guys are glued to their phones because they get called 24/7.
Yes.
They
mainly in the middle of the night.
To find out that one of their service members' spouse was in an accident, or a member of their family needed help, or it's a member of the unit experiencing food insecurity, which is a huge problem right now. You know, so they are kind of like the den mom of the unit, and they really have their fingers, their pulse on who is doing well and who might need some help. And they are vital to the commander of that unit. So, you know, they are the link. And in a well-working unit, you have the commander, and then you have the first shirt or first sergeant, and then you have the key spouse or the command spouse, whoever wants that role, so that they can be a good conduit of information and resources both up and down that chain. So where do we start with this? What was the actual question? Oh, I was
asking you what the first sergeant does. Yeah.
Yes.
So I would say, like, especially if your spouse is deployed or maybe TDY, that's a great resource if you really need some help. Obviously, you can go to your squadron commander or battalion or, you know, but they're also a really great person to go to. And I just wasn't aware of that role probably until my husband had one who worked underneath him, and it's a great resource. And I can tell you, as my husband moved up in command, that first sergeant made our life as a family a lot more doable because they were handling the middle of the night calls. Yeah. But yeah, it's a great resource. And one of the things that I think that I didn't understand for quite some time is that the military isn't like another job. It asks more of you, but it also gives more of you. We don't just support the person wearing uniform. We support the whole family. And so there are resources out there. You know, if your spouse works for, you know, Home Depot, they don't get these kind of benefits. Now, they're not asked to go off to war either. But because of that, we have a lot of great resources. So I just want people to be aware, you know, walk down to that center and, you know, just make an appointment to go in. Don't be afraid, because the people that work there want to help you. And I assure you, there are hundreds of other spouses on your base just like you who are looking for a friend. So I just want to encourage you to, you know, get out, and you have to make the first move, but it is so worth it. And I learned that I could really eliminate a lot of the loneliness by being more proactive. And yes, it was very uncomfortable. But we moved 14 times, and we were in less than you, Janet. So we were on like a faster move more frequently, I guess. Well, I don't want to go too much longer because I know people's time is short, and I also know your time is short, Janet. I want to give you a moment to have a closing word, but I didn't ask you for this in advance. But I would say if you guys have questions for Janet, you can send them to me. I have been taking really good notes of what Janet said, and so I'm going to actually do a post summarizing some of the great wisdom that she had to share with us. But I would say if there's anything else that you have, I'll be happy to pass those along. And I think Janet will do it if something she's able to do. Again, I didn't ask her, but we just want to serve you guys. We just love you, and we just want to serve you. So Janet, what are your closing thoughts?
I would say, well, first of all, I could talk for about 4 hours. So let me summarize one of my big foot stomp things. And this can be daunting for a new military spouse. But one of the things I encourage you to do is to dig in, to just bloom where you're planted. You can focus on the negative all you want, if you, but why be miserable? So focus on what you can do and not what you can't.
Amen.
And dig in and make that unit your family. And that means, I mean, if you need to go home to be with your parents, that's fine, if that's what you really need to do. But I want you to challenge yourself that you are strong than you think you are. And by digging in and making your unit family, if you don't do that, then you're going to be homeless for your entire military career. So really give people a chance. The blooming where you're planted is huge. I mean, yes. You can't, you know, just focus on that good stuff, ignore the bad, and really reach out and make that your family, make that your home. Every single time. It doesn't matter how long you move, how many times you move, how long you're somewhere. You could be somewhere for 6 months for a training. Dig in and make it home, because that becomes your family everywhere you go. You can see my little sign, home is where the Air Force is behind us. Well, I still have to add like 4 more places on that news. I look at that sign on my wall, and I have really special people and really special moments, special friendships from each and every one of those words on the wall. And I tell you what, when tragedy strikes, that is who comes to your aid. And that is who you can go to. And not just in tragedy. Sometimes you're just having a bad day and you need a friend. So dig in and don't give up and reach out. And if there's something in your unit that, you know what, be the change you want to see. Man, I wish we had a coffee group in our unit. Well, guess what? You go start that coffee group. I mean, you know, if someone else is sitting there on their couch thinking the exact thing, because we're all in the same boat.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Janet. This was awesome. What a great way to start. I appreciate you so much. And just appreciate what you're doing for our nation. And you're a great supporter and you're a great friend. So thank you so much, you guys. It was great. Thanks for coming. I hope this was helpful. Feel free to give us feedback. I'll be happy to incorporate your ideas into the next one. The next one is actually on Wednesday this week because of some travel plans of my next guest and also myself. So we'll be doing that Wednesday, and we're going to be talking about managing your expectations, which is hard but necessary. So I really hope you'll join us on Wednesday. And my guest then is a Space Force wife. Her name is Amy Harris. So hope to see you guys on Wednesday, same time. And thanks again, Janet. Really appreciate you. And please tell Russ hello for me.
Thanks. Anytime.
Bye.